Hello, people of the world. I haven't done something like this in a while, so please bear with me. So this is my YouTube channel, and I normally just come here and post like random things that I want to keep for myself, random projects that I've done over the years, maybe some audition stuff. I haven't ever really made a video on here for the sole purpose of just talking to somebody. I kind of figured maybe I could just sit down and talk and make a vlog on my own channel, like why not? So obviously the topic of this video is having doubt while still being a Christian. This is sort of like kind of a taboo, touchy subject for any religion, which I think is honestly very, very sad because it's something that people should be able to talk about so they can understand it more. But first things first, I identify myself as a non-denominational Christian. For anyone who might not know what that is, it basically means that I don't follow one specific church or one specific denomination. I'm not Baptist, I'm not Methodist, I'm not Catholic, I'm just Christian. My doubt in my religion was one of the big reasons that I started having really, really bad anxiety and panic attacks. Something happened and then it triggered a lot of these what if questions. One of them being like, what if I don't really believe in my faith? You know, I grew up in a Christian household. I was raised in this religion, and it kind of got to that point where I was thinking, you know, do I actually believe in my faith, or do I just believe in it because someone has taught that to me ever since I was a child? Another big question was, what if I'm not actually a good Christian? I think that one stems more from me being like, well, am I only a good Christian because I'm afraid of going to hell? It's kind of one of those thoughts where I kind of was like, you know, is that a reason to be a Christian because you're afraid of the consequences if you're not? Because that doesn't seem like it would be a good Christian. That's just someone, you know, who's only doing it because they don't want to get in trouble, kind of, like, if you want to go by that route. And the most scary question was, what if God isn't real? That's some very big, heavy, existential crisis type questions that everyone in any religion, or even if you're not religious, you might think these types of thoughts. Like, how do you know that what you think is true? At the time, I just felt so alone. Whenever I would talk to people, they just didn't really understand what I was going through, because part of it was also because I didn't really want to admit that I was having these thoughts and having these feelings because I was so terrified of them that just saying it out loud made it real. That type of thought process was slowly eating away at me, and for a while I didn't think it was ever going to end. And I'm not trying to downplay any of that. It was not enjoyable at all. But I'm happy that I went through something like that. But going back to the big question here, is it okay for a Christian to have doubt? And the simple answer is yes. Not only is it perfectly normal, but it can actually make your faith stronger. Which I know seems a little bit contradictory, but just hold on before you try and leave. Just stay put, just follow me, it's gonna be okay. Let's look at the definition of faith itself. Faith is the complete trust or confidence in someone or something, or it is a strong belief in God or spiritual doctrines based on spiritual apprehension rather than proof. Now I know what you're thinking right now, because I thought it too for a second. When you look up the definition, you're like, spiritual apprehension. Like, apprehension seems like not a good word to use there. Like, that seems kind of iffy. But actually, if you look at the definition of apprehension, it can mean anxiety or fear, but it can also mean an understanding. So it's a spiritual understanding without proof. Now that isn't to say that you can't have proof. You can try and find answers and seek things, but you just don't need it in order to have faith. Now some people might say that, you know, trying to get proof that God is real might be going against faith, but I think, this is me, that it's not. Because if you are taking the time to research and to look into things and to find that proof, then that's kind of acting in faith. Like, you kind of have to have faith in order to go actively try and seek out that kind of information. Now, when you go out and you try and get proof, you try and get evidence, but you don't get it, that's when you start having to test your faith. And it can be very frustrating. Like, trust me, I know, I've been there. No one said that faith is easy, and sometimes you want answers and you just don't get them. But I think it's okay as a Christian, or any religion really, that you can just say, I don't know. Like, if someone asks you a question and you say, I don't really know the answer to that question, but I mean, maybe someone else does, or maybe no one does. Life is full of mysteries, and religion is definitely a big part of that mystery. I believe what I believe because of my own personal experiences, my own personal evidence and proof that I have for myself, but everyone is different. Everyone goes through their own thing, and that can be very scary to face, especially if you're like me and you grew up in a religious household. It's kind of scary to think, oh, I can't just rely on what other people tell me. I have to figure it out for myself and what works for me. And of course, there's those people who are like, oh, you have to follow things this way or you won't be doing what's right in whatever religion you're doing, Christian, whatever. I don't know how other religions work. But there's always going to be those extremes on either side. And I think, you know, you sometimes have to just clear out those other voices. Like, you have to focus internally with your own relationship with God or whoever you believe, whatever you don't believe, because that's a thing too. If you don't believe, then that's, you know, that's your journey. Whatever, I'm not going to preach my religion to you unless you ask, but that's something you still have to figure out for yourself, and it can be scary to not be religious. You know, to me personally, I feel like that's the most scary thing to be, is to be not religious. But if you find comfort in that, you know, who am I to judge? Now, at the end of the day, that isn't to say that doubt just goes away. Like, you go through that journey and then, bam, you come out and you never have to worry about it again. No, doubt stays with you. It can pop up and just randomly have it a normal day, and then all of a sudden I'll be like, you know, what if? You know, what if? You know what it actually is? It's basically the idea that you're standing over an edge and you look down, it's very tall, like if you were to fall, you were going to die. And for some reason, for some stupid reason, your brain thinks, what if I just jumped off this and died, just killed myself right now? And of course, the more you try and not think about that thought while you're standing over the ledge, the more it makes you want to think about it, and the more scared and anxious you get, because you're like, oh my god, am I actually going to jump off this ledge? Like, why am I thinking about this? Just don't think about it. Oh wow, I'm thinking about it again. And that's exactly what doubt is like. It just shows up out of nowhere, the rude thing it is, and just makes itself comfortable inside your head. You know, I didn't want you, doubt. I didn't ask for you. Get out. And as a Christian, let me just put in my 2 cents. I think God understands that we can't control our thoughts all the time. We have random thoughts. Everyone has random thoughts. But I think he also understands that we can't just run away from doubt. Because if we do that, it's just going to make it worse. We're just going to be thinking about it more. We're just going to be terrified of it, and it's just going to amplify it. It's going to make you anxious. It's going to make you afraid. And that's not how you should be. You should be able to look at doubt, and you should be able to talk about it openly. You should be able to do research and not be scared that you're, you know, not being a good Christian. You're not doing what you need to do. Because a lot of people think that doubt, if you have it, then you're not being a good Christian and you're gonna go to hell. Like, that's one of the things that I was afraid of. It's like, oh, if I think like this, then obviously I'm not a Christian anymore, and that means I'm, you know, going to hell. Like, it's bad. I can't do it. I can't think about it. I can't focus on it. I can't, you know, face it. And that's just a bold-faced lie. Like, that's why I think it's such an important thing to talk about. Like, why is this subject so taboo? Like, let's talk about it. Let's have a discussion and let's face the problem rather than try and run away from the problem, because it's just going to make it worse. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of talk about this and bring more focus on it, because I think it's something that we should be able to talk about. I don't think it should be a taboo subject for any religion. And when I was going through this kind of thing, I felt very alone, and I looked up articles and stuff like that, but I felt like I couldn't really talk about it with people. And even though I could read about what other people were saying, it still felt very isolating. And I don't know, it's just, I felt alone, and I don't want other people who are struggling with this to feel alone. I just want to create like a safe space for people to just be able to talk about this without any judgment. You know, I know it's a very touchy subject, religion, and there can be hate on, you know, both ends, but I just want people to be able to talk freely about what they think and feel, and for there just be no judgment, you know, have a conversation. Yeah, if you want to see more, like, subscribe, comment. My name's Amanda. As always, I'll see you next time.